Tractate Sanhedrin, page 60. We will start with page 59b, 24 lines from the bottom of the page. The subject of eating animals, it's a painful, serious subject. Not only general subject, but when it's come to Jewish law, goes back to the concept of creation and the purpose of living animals and the difference between the era of the Great Flood before and after. The concept, the first concept we're going to study today is the Talmudic approach to the rule of eating meat at the early stage of creation. As you know, we're getting close to Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the Jewish New Year of 5778, and one of our beliefs is that last Shabbat, the 25th day of the month of Elul, is the time of which we believe the creation of the current world, and 6 days later is the time that we believe Adam, later Eve, was born. So here the first subject is the idea that Adam, the first man, was prohibited to eat animals, to eat meat. Only in that sense, by force of circumstance, because it was a lack of meat as a result of the Great Flood. Many rabbis concurred that that's the cause, that's the reason of the Almighty allow under this circumstance to eat animals for survival. But again, this is a serious subject, and it's just the one of many subjects we're going to discuss today. So let's start. Again, page 59b, 24 lines from the bottom of the page. אמר רב יהודה אמר רב, אדם הראשון לא הותר לו בשר לאכילה, דכתיב לכם יהיה לאוכלה ולכל חיית הארץ ולא חיית הארץ לכם. Here we talk, and it's a general concept, we continue the subject of Ever Min HaChai, the idea that we believe there are 7 universal Noahide laws, and those laws are basically commended to all humankind, and one of them is the prohibition against cruelty to animals. It's from the notion of ancient time, apparently, used to take part of animal's body while the animal's alive and eat it. Obviously, by any means, we are the people of compassion and mercy. There's no way that we permit such a thing, but this extended also to all humankind, meaning it's called in that language the descendants of Noah, which applies to all the creation, meaning all the human Adam and Eve descendants creation. So here Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, when we talk about the first man, which is Adam, he was not permitted to eat animal for consumption. And you bring a source from the book of Genesis, the first chapter. They said as follows, I'm reading from Koran edition, the translation. They said, and God said, behold, I am giving you every herb that brings forth seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of the tree that gives forth seed. For you it shall be for food, and for every animal on the earth. So we derive from that the Almighty said to Adam, eating vegetation is permitted to people and animals, but eating the animals of the earth is not permitted to you. So that's the way Rashi tells us. The Rema go further and said that that extended not only to chickens, fowls, and others, but even the fish and other form of animals all together. That's also the derivative from one of the more current commentary of the Aruch Laner. So the question is how far this, and it's basically called in Talmudic language Isur Hefza, and it's the derivative is also when the Noach, under the circumstance, they have the pair of animals in the famous story of the Noach Ark, and so then the Gemara said, "Uchshebau b'nei Noach hetir lahem," but then again, by force of circumstance, when the children of Noach came, the Almighty permit them to eat meat. שנאמר כי ירק עשב נתתי לכם את כל They said that every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. That's Genesis 9 verse 3. So what we derive from that, is that mean that included taking part of living animals? Obviously not. Talmud lomar ach basar benafsho damo lo tochel. The text said clearly, only flesh with its life, which is its blood, you shall not eat. So that means yachol aflesh chatzim talmud lomar ach. So you may think that applies also to creeping animals. So you derive from the word only. So that's exclusion. That's the creeping animals are not included. ומאי תלמוד אמר רב כהנא דמו, אמר רב הונא דמו, מי שדמו חלוק ממסרו, יצאו שרדים שדמו חלוק ממסרם. So now we try to differentiate between creeping animals and others, because the creeping animals is basically they separate from the flesh. So that's, you take it in kind of a exclusion. But Meitive Udubi Datayam, Torah said that one of the blessings the Almighty gave to the Adam is that you are dominion, meaning you are in charge over the fish and the sea. So it means my love la'achila lo limlacha. Does that mean that you allow to consume it, meaning that people may eat animals? So he said no, that's only using animal for labor. So they said, what do you mean? You mean to say fish is any form of labor? You talk about fish. So they said, En ki de rachava de barachava inhig beiza v'shabut amai. So that's the idea of rachava, that he asked a question: if one drove a wagon to which a goat and a shibuta fish were harnessed together, so is he violated the prohibition of diverse kind? In the same way that one does when they're plowing with ox and donkey together. So the rachava question indicates that there is a way, even it's kind of far-fetched, for a fish to perform labor. So tashma u'va'of hashamayim ma'alav la'achila lo lemlacha. Same idea of the fall of the air, that's referring to labor. So they said the same question, v'ofod bnei melacha ninu, the bird are capable to perform labor. So they said, en k'deba'ei rabba bar Avuna, dash ba'avazim v'ngolim l'Rabbi Yossi bar Yuda mai. So the same idea that speak about diverse kind, if one who's threshed with geese and chicken. So you see here the indirectly what he tried to say is the prohibition against muzzling an animal while it's being used for labor in the field applies to these geese and chickens. That's again ancient time, which have only 2 feet. So what you see here that indirectly you can argue and say that birds can perform labor. So tashma v'chol chaya romes al haaretz ha'u la'atu nachash u'deat. That's referring to a snake capable of performing labor when it was created. That's again is according to many rabbis that was kind of a little different snake. Some said was with legs more. Anyway, the Tani Rabbi Shimon ben Nasi Omer Chaval al Shamash Gedol Shavad min Olam Shemayu Nitkalen Nachash Kol Echad Mitzral Hu Mizdamin Lo Shnei Nachashim Tovim. He said that the snake was cursed because of the sin, because it says otherwise everyone find 2 snakes at the disposal of each and every one of the people. What does that mean? So they sent one to the north and one to the south. They bring that's precious, expensive stones and pearl. And he said, and furthermore, that attach a strap under his snake's tail, like a harness to an animal, and use it to take dirt out of his garden and to rebuild his ruin. So that's to other animals. So that's basically have here demonstration the snake is capable of performing labor. Meiti ve'Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema omer Adam harishon miseh b'Gan Eden haya v'hayu lo malachei asher tzorin lo basar nasim lo yain. So the first man was really in a way king. He was in the Garden of Eden, and he was the ministering angel who roast meat for him and strain wine for him. And they said, unfortunately, the snake glanced at him and saw his glory, and he was tremendously jealous of him. And for that reason, the snake incited him to sin and caused him banished from the Garden of Eden. So what you see here, so you see here that Adam will eat meat, because if you tell me that it was ministering agent that served him and gave him meat. So he said this referred to meat that descendants from heaven, which was created by a miracle and was not meat of animals at all. So does that mean you mean to say that it's like a Walt Disney World, but you're talking about meat that descended from heaven? The Gemara said yes, it was. He was along the way walk. So he was walking all the way, and guess what? He encountered those lions who were roaring at him, which means intending to eat him. So Amar, he quoted from the Psalm 104, "Hakfirim shoagim lataref." The young lions roar after they pray and they seek their food from God. Nachutu lei tartei atmata chada chalua v'chada shavkua. So two thighs of an animal descendants from heaven. For him, the lions ate one of these thighs and they left the other one. So he took it and entered to the study hall. So he asked the rabbis, is this thigh is a kosher or non-kosher item? So they said to him, no, certainly it is kosher, because as a non-kosher item does not descend from heaven. Obviously it's a lot to say. You have the Aruch Laner and many more that have a lot of explanation. The Chavot Yair, for example, tried to say that it's because he fasted a lot and there was a lot of self-flagellations to his life. So that's basically what it means. It's more kind of using a euphemism. So you ask a question, if a person have a meat that came from heaven and is the likeness of donkey, so what do? Amar le Ya'arud Nala, said to him, foolish bird. Foolish bird, in that sense, again, it's like one of those animals that whining all the times. We just told you that from heaven there is no such a thing as non-kosher meat, so therefore it must be kosher. Now we go to the view of Rabbi Shimon, that is basically, when we talk in the previous daf in 50, in several dapim, start with the 56, the whole concept of Noahide laws. So we said that one of them, it's the idea of the commandment concerning the prohibition against engaging in any form of sorcery. Rabbi Shimon omer afala kishuf. So afala kishuf, so that's the Maitamed Rabbi Shimon. What's exactly the reasoning? So the Chtiv, we bring a source from the book of Shmot, chapter 22, verse 17. Page 60, Mechashefa lo techayeh, the Torah said you shall not allow a witch to live. And then the Torah said whoever lie with animals shall be put to death. So what does that mean? Anything that is anyone is included in the prohibition, whoever lies with the animals, that's obviously included all those sons of Noah. So that's included in the command, shall not allow to which to live. So that's basically incorporated. So a few points. The Rashi tells us on the text in the book of Bereshit 25 that when Abraham let go the daughters of the concubine, he gave them kind of gift, and the interpretation is he gave them Shem Tum'ah, some type of secret code for sorcery, if you want to use that. So Maharil Diskin asked a question, so how come? So he explained that it was those Shemot Tum'ah that not caused damage. You see, my brother-in-law in his book, Daf al Daf, brought a big response over this topic. But anyway, just to give you the idea. Furthermore, he brought here a little bit Kabbalah. You're welcome to read it. I'll just give you just few words for those who read Hebrew, just a few words. He asked a question, בפיפול החריף יבמות דף ד' הביא בשם בנו של הבח, מדוע הסמיכה התורה שוכב מבהמה למכשפה? על פי מה שכתבו המקובלים, שחוככו מחשב זכר, בא על ידי שהוא בעל בהמה. So anyway, it's a lot to discuss here. You're welcome to read it in this beautiful book. רבי אלעזר אומר אף עליו כליים. רבי אלעזר said it's also the prohibition of diverse kind. מנען המילה, from where you know it, אמר שמואל דאמר קרא את חוקותיי תשמורו, חוקים שחקקתי לך כבר. You should observe those institution of mitzvot, already given to you, meaning it was the early time descendants of Noach. במדחלות רבי הכליים, סדחלות תזרק להם. Thus the prohibition against diverse kind. מה במדחה בארבעה, אף סדחה בהרכבה. מה במדחה בין בארץ מחוץ לארץ, אף סדחה בין בארץ מחוץ לארץ. So basically that's saying the whole process of a breeding. So it's animals and grafting with species for another one. That's part of that, and that's the same ways applies to all over, not only Israel, so that's the same here. So you said the same thing applies to general concept of observing my ordinance, so it's already instituted for you. So you have to differentiate between those laws that was set earlier for those for the outset to keep in the future. Gemarrah said that when the Bet Din search those witnesses, so they, instead of using the real name, we're using Yossi et Yossi, it means that name Yossi is a four-letter Hebrew, which is again, it's indirectly referring to the name of God. So obviously we have to differentiate between name of gods that they have full 4 letters versus less, like 2. So it teaches us that he is liable only for a cursing, in that sense, the full name of God. We derive from that name of God that contain indirectly, but contain the 4 letters. It's also part of the name of God that one is liable, and is liable not only for cursing the 42 letters name of God, which we explained in the past, that is a combination of the two. So here the derivative is all the concept that a person is liable even for cursing the indirect referral to name of God, and the name Yossi is mentioned specifically as a paragon. Nigmar Din, when the judges, basically the judgment is over and the judges need to hear the exact wording of the curse so they can sentence the defendants, the elders of the witness repeat the curse, and the judges make a tear in their clothing. Omdim ben menalan. So what we do, the judges must stand. אמר רבי יצחק בר עמי דאמר קרא ויהוד בא אליו ויושב בעליית המקרה אפשר לו לבדו ואומר יהוד דבר אלוהים אליך ויקום על הכיסא. So here you see a story about Eglon in that biblical text in the book of Judges chapter 3. You see about the Ehud came and he was sitting by himself in his cool upper chamber, and Ehud said, I have a message of God to you, and he arose and from his seat. So עלו בעלות דברים קל וחומר, מה עגלון מלך מואב שהוא נוכרי ולא ידע עליה בכינויו, עמד ישראל בשם מפורט אחד כמה וכמה. If you think about the wicked non-Jewish king that stood up for something that it wasn't clear or full holy name of God, he stood up, how much so when he talk about real appellation of the name of God, how much so a fellow Jew must stand when he hear the infallible name of the Almighty. קוראים מנהלן, how do you know that they make a tear of their garments when they hearing the curse? The judges need to do it. נכתיב ויבוא אליקים בן חלקיהו ושמנה הסופר ויואח בן אסף המכירים את חזקיהו קורא בגדים והגיעו לו דברי רב שקה. That's from the book of Kings chapter 18. So you see here that when they heard these horrible blasphemers statement of Rav Shakeh, they were obligated to make a tear in their garments. So they said, Lo me'achim, you don't fully stitch together. How do you know it? Menalan, Amar Rabbi Abu, Atiat Kri'a Kri'a. We learn by juxtaposition, by verbal analogy, using the word Kri'a Kri'a, which is with torn garment. כתיב באחר קורא בגדים, וכתיב התם ואלישע רואה והוא מצייק אבי אבי רכב לישראל בפרשה ולא רעוד, ויחזק בבגדיו ויקרא בשניים קראים. So you see two sources, one of the book of Kings chapter 2, and the other one is the source we have here. So we derive from, no, I meant the two sources there, but you see the background is from here, and here the Hashem Kurim. How do you know that they are ter? Kra'im. How do you know that it's forever, that you don't put together stitches out the pieces? So you derive from that they remain torn forever. They may never be fully stitches back together, but only partially sewn. It's a famous question in Halacha, how do you do with people who tear their garments for real, tearing garment for hearing sad news like losing the loved one? Is any form of stitching back together? This disputation between the rabbis, if it's permissible or not. You can read more in the book called Gesher HaChaim, The Bridge of Life, by Rabbi Tukochinsky. Tanu Rabbanan, Echad HaShomah v'Echad Shomah Mpi Shomah Chayav Likroah. Both who hear the curse themselves and one who hear it from one who heard it is obligated to tear the garments. Ve'a'idim, but those witnesses einam chayavim likroah, they're not obligated to tear when they testify, because already when they hear this horrible blasphemer curse the name of God, they already tear the garment, so they don't need to do it again. But they hear it again. So you hear here from the book of Kings, chapter 19, that the righteous king of Chizkiyahu, he tore his garment. So is that the derivative? So he did it, but those who reported the blasphemy did not tear their clothes a second time. So that's the source. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel HaShomeh azkara mipnei anochi no chayav likroah. So the one who hear from a non-Jew this type of blasphemer matter, he doesn't need to tear his garment. Bim tomar Rav Shakei Israel mumara. If you bring the Rav Shakei, that's not a good example, because he was apostate Jew, which was in a way traitor, or whatever you want to call it. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel en korin l'Hashem hamiuchad bilvad lapu kekinui dela. So here he said that the whole idea of concept of tearing garment is applied to the Holy of Holy, the infallible name of God, but not other. For example, in appellation for the name of God, one does not make it tear. The disputation between the rabbi in both. He holds that in our times one who hear this type of blasphemy and nowadays is not obligated to make it tear. If you do that, the entire garment will be full of tears. מימן, אלמה מישראל מפקירה לכולי, אלא פשיטה מנוחי, ומשם מיוחד מגניר עליו בכינוי, ושמאמינה בזמן הזה הוא דלה, המקר החייב שמאמינה. So again, we have to differentiate between those days in our time. So in halacha we take it to practical halacha, so one was obligated to make tear in those cases, contrary to the view of Shmuel. So the Gemara said, indeed, that's the conclusion from that, from this discussion. שני אומר אף אני כמוהו, אמר יש לקיש מאמינה אף אני כמוהו, כאשר בני אמונות ובני נפשות. ומעלה הוא דאביד רבנן. So the rabbis make a high standards for this dealing with these laws, which is both cases of mandatory law and case of the capital law. והכה כיוון דלא אפשר כמו גדרמה דאורייתא. Here it's not possible to fulfill this requirement because it's very incongruous for the blasphemer's statement to be repeated several times. So the sages establish a different way to this Torah law and did not require every witness to repeat the curse. This is a פסול, לאחר משום דלא אפשר כתרינו לגברא. So if you tell me that it's not valid testimony by Torah law, so if you have a case of blasphemers will be executed without full testimony because it's not possible to allow a repetition of the blasphemy. So you see here very lucidly that when it's come to this testimony is valid by Torah law. והשלישי אומר אף אני כמוהו, סתם רק רבי עקיבא. So we go in general to Rabbi Akiva who compare three witnesses to two. So here is the concept that Rabbi Akiva hold, that the same way as we have in a case where there are two witnesses, the disqualification of one disqualifies all the testimony. So you see here when you have three witnesses and one of the three is disqualified, all the testimony is disqualified. So similarly here, what you see here, that he holds that if there is the 3 witnesses, each of them must testify concerning the curse. Page 60b, the Mishnah. Now the Mishnah dealing with one who's again deserved to get skila, but here it's more involving with the form of idol worshipping. So we learned earlier on page 53 that's among those transgressions that they deserve a skila, stoning, but the Maharam explained to us that it was a general statement for those who deserve skila in the previous Mishnah, and now we go to more specific. Ha'oved avodah kochavim or avodah zara, one who worship idol, אחד העובד ואחד המזבח ואחד המקטר ואחד המנסח ואחד המשתחווה ואחד המקבלו עליו ללוע ואומר לו אלי אתה. Makes no difference how exactly the person does it. There is a long list of what exactly he does. It can be a different form. Burn incense, idol worshipping, pour a libation, bow to an idol, all of this, accept up an idol upon himself as a god, and one who says to an idol, you are my god. All of that is under the category of skila, and you see it clearly in the Rambam, Ilchot Avodah Zarah, chapter 3. One who worship an idol in its typical manner of worship, or one who slaughter an offering in idol worship, one who burn incense in idol worship, one who pours libation to an idol, one who bow to an idol. All of that is executed by stoning. That's the concept of skila. Makes no difference if you accepted an idol upon himself as a god, he's saying you are my god. Anyway, however, אבל המגפף והמנשק והמכבד והמרבץ והמרחץ והסח והמלביש והמנעיל עובר בלא תעשה, one who does kind of indirectly, which is hug, kiss idol, do all kind of things. They use here more the specification, rubs it with oil, dress it. So that's a violation of negative commandment, but it's not liable to receive a capital punishment. הנודר בשמו במקם בשמו ולא תעשה, one who's vowed to an idol item, affirm his statement and oath in his name, so that is a transgression of a prohibition. הפועל עצמו לבעל פרעה זו עבודתה, וזורק אבן למרקולי זו עבודתה. But if you do it in a form of idol worshipping, which call a typical manner of idol worshipping, in those days it was a Baal Peor, one of the biblical idol. So he's received capital punishment, the same one who throws store to Mercury, same. So the Gemara said, "My echad haoved." What exactly the Mishnah put in the list? One who worship idol in a typical manner. Anyone who does it in a regular manner. So they give a third list. So even the idol worship is not a typically worship in these ways. This specific act considered idol worshipping. There's all list here. How about one who counts, sprinkle the blood of an offering? So here is like one who pour libation. So that's basically sprinkling the blood of an offering is also referred to an offering of libation. How do you know? When the Torah said in Exodus 22, one who sacrifice shall be utterly destroyed. So and basically it's based on the pasuk. One who sacrifice to the gods shall be utterly destroyed, except to the Lord alone. So the idea is, I thought that applies to one who slaughter sacrifice animal outside of the temple courtyard. But he said, Talmud lomar leElohim bezovach la'avodah zarah ketum medaber, because they use the term in the Torah to the gods. That's basically applies to those who slaughter an offering to an idol. So the Gemara asks, ainly all of that applies to what? Ela bezoveach. That's applied to one who's slaughter an offering for an idol. How about mekater umenasech minaim? one who burn incense, or one who pour libation. How do you know it? So it said, Bilti Hashem of those, since they said clearly, except to the Almighty God, Lord alone, so we derive from that, Reikan Havodot Kulan L'Shem Miyuchad, which means designated all these sacrificial rites to the infallible man of God. So basically the one who performs any of these rites in idol worship is liable. לפי שיצא זביחה לדון בעבודות פנים, מניין לרבות להשתחווה. How do you know that all those who bow down to the idol? So how do you know that it's not a sacrificial rite? תלמוד לומר, וילך ויעבוד אלוהים אחרים וישתחוו להם וסמיך לבוצר את האיש ההוא. Because it said in the verbal attachment between one in Deuteronomy 17 that said one who's gone and serve other gods and bow to them, and then he said, then you shall bring forth that man or that woman who has done this evil thing to your gates. So therefore it's derived from the juxtaposition for these two psukim, that one bow down and one is idol, is liable, both of them, the same manner of execution. Onesh shamanu, azara minayin. We understand about punishment, but how do you know about the concept of prohibition against doing this? So Talmud Lomar, ki lo tishtachaveh le'acher. Torah says in a very clear way in the commandments, the Exodus 34, for you shall not bow to no other God. So now what we derive from that? We say that יכול שאני מרבה המגפה והמנשק והמגעיל והמנעיל, תלמוד לומר זובח. Maybe I include all these different form, hug, idol, kiss, idol, puts shoes in it, all these crazy thing that some people do. So it said, the pasuk said, one who sacrifice shall be utterly destroyed. So that's basically act of slaughtering and offering in idol worship. זביחה בכלל הייתה, ולמה יצא להקיש עליה ולומר לך, מה זביחה מיוחדת שעבודת פנים וחייבים להמיתה? אף כל שעבודת פנים וחייבים להמיתה, יצא השתחווה לדון בעצמה, יצא זביחה לדון הקרן כולו. אמר מר, הייתי אומר בזרוח קודשים בחוץ הכתוב מדבר. So we understand that the pasuk applies to what, who, as we said earlier, the one who slaughtered a sacrificial offering animal outside of temple courtyard. So they said the punishment for one who slaughtered a sacrificial animal out of the courtyard is a karet, not capital punishment. Karet meaning that soul should be cut off. So זובח קודשים בחוץ כרת וסגר את החמין הקריאת רובי כתלה. You may think that because that there is a case where the witness warned the one who transgressed not to slaughter the offering outside of the temple, so you're liable to receive this type of death penalty. But in case where did not warning is liable to receive karet, so therefore, kamash melan, therefore we teach us that one who slaughtered an offering outside of the temple is not liable to receive death penalty, even if he was warned. And obviously, as we said earlier, you see a lot of writing on this subject, both in the Rambam, in the Ilchot Avodah Zarah, but you see more also in the code. In the code you see, for example, in Choshen Mishpat, chapter 28.